Hi everyone, who is Kusunoki Masashige? Now I'm going to do a very short series of videos, or a series of videos that are very short, and discuss famous samurai. And I'm just going to give you a very slight overview, just so you get it in your head. So if you want to follow me, or you want to help me out, get yourself a copy of the Book of Bushido, which was an advert at the beginning, and there'll be an advert at the end. So let's talk about Kusunoki Masashige. So we're talking about the 1300s, and he's famous because he's inside the Taiheki, which is the Great Chronicle of Peace. And basically, in the old days, the emperors of Japan used to abdicate after a few years, and because it was quite a difficult job. No joke, the Emperor of Japan was actually quite a difficult job. You were more of a religious figure, and you had to do a lot of religious ceremonies. So, and did you know that they had to have their toenails bitten off because they couldn't have the iron touch them? So they actually had their toenails bitten off, bizarrely. So what happened is there was lots of arguments about who should succeed in the next line, and two people were generally accepted as acceptable, and both were legitimate. So there's the northern court and the southern court. So they started arguing, and they're getting really mad about this, and everybody's killing each other. So Kusunoki Masashige, a samurai from pretty much nowhere, is said to have been thought of in a dream that he was going to come forward and help him. But this Masashige is a real guy, and his surname is Kusunoki, and he was an amazing warrior, and he basically used a lot of guerrilla tactics to get to defeat the enemies, such as collapsing bridges, collapsing walls, sneaking in and out of castles, disguising himself as, or his troops as other people, and getting into different places. And this gave birth to the idea that he's actually the original sort of ninja figure. But that's not true. He's actually just an amazing strategist who dealt with a lot of deception. And of course, you can say ninjutsu is based or comes from within him, and there are parts of him. And in fact, even the people of Iga and Koka say Kusunoki Masashige was a master of ninjutsu before us, and they don't claim that they invented it, they just claim they're the best at it. But Kusunoki Masashige was one of the the top-notch guys. So what was happening as well is basically there's a lot of political complex ideas here, and this is the idea of the two lines competing with each other, and the shogun pushing themselves into the lines, the Ashikaga shogunate, and they're all pushing in, and basically they want to get centralized power and the three sort of treasures of the Japanese emperor, and to basically be the Japanese emperor. Now it has to be remembered that these people are arguing over the emperorship, if that's a word, actually are legitimate, and they can all take it. And some of the samurai have actually sort of married into the royal families, and many samurai are actually part of the imperial family, and they're all arguing about it. But in the end, Masashige is ordered to perform a battle that he doesn't want to perform. He says, no, I'm not doing... Well, sorry, he says, this is not going to win. You will never win this battle the way you are doing it. But he's ordered to do it by the emperor, and he's loyal to the death. So he says, okay. So what he does, he goes into the battlefield, and they're basically trying to get in and out of being defeated, and he knows he's going to get defeated, but he tries to push it as long as he can. And in the end, him and his brother end up in he says farewell to his sons, and him and his brother sort of end up in some sort of barn, farmhouse, complex hamlet, if you like, and they stab each other in ritual suicide. But they swear that they will come back for 7 generations. Now, in old Japan, 7 generations, or so I've heard, I can't prove this, means just forevermore. Kusunoki Masashige will come back forevermore in the service of the emperor, and he dies at the hands of his brother, and his brother dies at his hands, and they mutually murder each other, as good brothers do. And then, many years later, the author of Hagakure actually says he would like to be reborn 7 times into the sort of line of his family, which is a callback to Kusunoki Masashige. And then even in World War II, they were using Kusunoki Masashige as a mascot. However, while Kusunoki Masashige has been famous as this devoted samurai, after he lost, and after the emperor lost, and the southern northern court divide happened, the name of Masashige was absolutely not held in high regard. It was only later in the Edo period when the idea of chivalry and Bushido and the idea of following the Lord to the death became prominent again after the Tokugawa had took over. So the Tokugawa are pretty much promoting this loyalty to the death attitude, which is why World War II are promoting loyalty to the death, and that's where Kusunoki Masashige's fame catapults outwards. He was famous in his day for the stuff he did, but he was also outlawed. His family were outlawed after that, and people were executed for simply being called Kusunoki and being his descendant. And in the end, the family were pardoned 200 or 300 years later, and then escalated, and then from there in the 1600s we get lots of Kusunoki Ryus popping up, one of which is Natori Ryu, which actually doesn't come directly from that line. It comes from the Kusunoki Fuden line, and all the Shinobi no Jutsu comes from there. So that is a very brief overview of Kusunoki Masashige, and you should know who he is, because nearly every samurai, especially throughout the Sengoku period, from the Onin War, or which is probably the Onin War is probably catapulted out of Kusunoki Masashige's problems, through the Sengoku period, into the Edo period, into World War II, Kusunoki Masashige is considered the height of proper samurai behaviour. So that's the overview. If you want to know more about Bushido, get yourself a copy of the Book of Bushido.